Well, if you're watching this video, I've officially sold the Tundra and I am driving something new. In this video, I'm going to go over why I sold it, and I'm going to cover some of the things that I really love about this truck and then I'm going to miss the most. So stick around the channel for future videos on what I bought next. So obviously, if you've seen my previous Tundra video, I'm not thrilled about this engine recall. Mine is one of the trucks that is affected. But ultimately, I don't have a sky is falling mentality about this. It kind of is what it is, and you just got to move forward and make the best decision that you can for you and your own personal situation. Man, I feel really bad for the people who do have a sky is falling mentality. Just check out some of the comments from the previous video and almost certainly some of the comments that are going to be on this one. Wow, it's entertaining to say the least. But Toyota's going to get this right eventually, but I just personally think that it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. So that was a huge part of my decision making. So every owner is going to have to figure out their own kind of appetite for risk here if their vehicle's affected or not by this recall. Obviously, some of the newer Tundras that are coming out are still having these engine failures. I personally am not really buying the debris left over from the manufacturing process. It just doesn't really explain the continued failures that we're seeing in the most recent model years. This is June 2024, so I don't quite have all the information yet, but I take this truck on very long trips. I'm usually towing, so I'm putting quite a bit of a load on the engine. Pretty heavy camper, so I'm with my family and my young kid. And I just don't want to be left stranded. Now, let's be freaking real here. Any vehicle can leave you stranded. And so far, there's only like less than 1% of these Tundras that have this issue. I think it's pretty obvious that that number is just going to keep climbing up. But no one knows how high it's going to go. No one has any idea at this point in time. So you just got to make the decision that's best for you. Some of the other things that contributed to my decision were I didn't want to be in the dealership waiting a month, 2 months, 4+ months, I'm hearing from some people, for my vehicle to get back, especially if my loaner is like a Camry or something. I can't take my dirt bike anywhere. I can't go riding on the trails, can't tow the camper anywhere. So it's just a huge pain in the butt that I don't want to deal with. And quite frankly, although I have all the respect in the world for Toyota technicians and mechanics, master mechanics, those that would be responsible for rebuilding an engine, it's just not going to be the same as when it was made in the factory with precision robotics and things. So all of those are the reasons I made this decision. It's kind of an emotional decision for me, but at the same time, you know, it is just a hunk of metal, and hunks of metal can break down regardless of who they're made by. You just got to figure it out for yourself. So keep in mind, Toyota is one of the biggest manufacturers in the world. They're going to be just fine after this. People who are out there saying like Toyota's never going to be the same, they've lost their way. No, it's a small hiccup with a single engine. They're going to get it figured out. It's probably going to take some years. And certainly in North America, specifically in their truck demographic, yeah, their reputation's definitely taking a hit. But all manufacturers issue recalls, some of them extremely major. All manufacturers screw up a lot of those recalls, and all manufacturers take a huge hit to their reputation, and they're never going to be the same. And look at the Pentastar V6. That's probably an excellent example. That engine was just littered with issues when it first came out. Now it's one of the most reliable engines out there, but it still carries like a small stigma with it. And same with the 5.7. Well, similar to the 5.7. 5.7 had tons of problems when it first came out. Tons of problems, but they fixed it and now it's legendary. Why can't Toyota do the same thing with this 3.4 twin turbo? So I just think that the blow up is kind of silly. People just aren't really being logical about this. Toyota's gonna be just fine. So even though I'm personally affected by and kind of like disappointed in this recall, it's a major bummer, but these things happen. I could totally see myself buying a Tundra again years from now. So obviously I'm in a new vehicle. I'm hopefully gonna enjoy this one for many years to come, but I have no apprehensions about buying this 3.4 twin turbo again many years down the road, should they end up getting a proven track record with it and they end up ironing out all the wrinkles, as you do with new engine platforms. So yeah, I just want to say that, like, I'm not going to abandon Toyota. I did temporarily, but that's just because of my own personal risk calculation, and I was able to get some incentives to get into a new vehicle. That's another major part of it. All right, enough of all this negative nonsense. On to the good stuff. I'm really gonna miss this vehicle. This was such a hard decision. I bought this vehicle knowing I was kind of taking a chance on the engine, and sure enough, you know, they got a pretty significant recall that sucks, but the rest of the vehicle has been perfect. And keep in mind too, mine's running perfectly fine. I've had zero issues with the engine. It's a dream, one of my favorite parts about this truck. But here's a laundry list of things that I absolutely loved about this vehicle. Some things I was a little bit surprised by, and some things that I think I'm really gonna miss when I well, I guess I've already said goodbye to this truck. So the first major thing I'm gonna miss about this truck is the LED lighting in the bed. It is a pretty cheap option that you can select when you do get this truck, but it has 4 lights. There's one on the rear tailgate, and they're all LEDs and super bright. Then there's 2 in the bed, 1 on each side, and then of course up top your cargo light lights up. So you've got just a great flood from every direction of light in this bed. And I don't really have any experience with any holy shnikes, with any of the other half-ton trucks and their LED setups. Like, I'm sure most of them are pretty darn good by now, but I have zero complaints about this one. I'm actually very surprised. I unload my dirt bike all the time at nighttime or in the early morning hours for long trips, and that LED lighting is just really nice. Speaking of the bed, there's a couple other things that I really like in here. I really like the composite bed. It's a nice slick surface, so you can slide things in and out really easy. And then I purchased this rubber bed mat, which is really sturdy and tough, to just add some grip. So if I do need to slide things in and out, I can just toss the bed mat aside. Otherwise, I just leave the bed mat in. And I also love these little tie-down cleats. They don't have an enormous capacity. I think it's like 220, it says right here, 220 pounds. But these are all relocatable. You just unscrew them and you can slide them all around. You can put all 4 on the front if you need, all 4 on one side, anywhere you need. You can just anchor these suckers down. I use this to tie down my dirt bikes or when I have multiple dirt bikes in here. This is just, it's a very, very functional, simple bed, and I really like it.
This is Hannah.
Hi, Hannah. Hi, sweetie pumpkin. Look at you.
She is a super friendly puppy.
Yes, she is. Oh my gosh. Oh, you're just a little dream. So one other feature that I opted for was the 360-degree cameras. So you can get just the singular rear camera, like that's mandatory by law now, and it's great. It's a great view. It's great for hooking up the hitch and everything. But you can also get the 360-degree camera system, and I highly recommend it. If you're off-roading, it gives you a lot of different views. So you can, avoid boulders, rocks, or, pick your lines more correctly, whatever you want. It also has, it's great for parking too, obviously, with a 360-degree camera. It's got cameras underneath the mirrors, on the front, on the rear. And then lastly, there's a bed-mounted camera up high. What I really like about this is when you're flying down the highway, you can just click your little camera button and that image comes up instantly. So you can immediately check on your load, you can check on a trailer. It's just great to monitor what's going on, whether you're parking in tight quarters, like in a camping spot, or whether you are parking in like a tight Home Depot parking lot, or just going off-roading or checking on all your cargo. The 360 camera setup, ooh, it's gonna be hard not to ever have that in the future. That's just one of those things. Once you try it, you like it. I primarily bought this truck for towing, and I just want to speak to that experience real quick. In my previous videos, I've gone into a lot of detail about the towing experience, but some of the highlights are obviously the powertrain combined with the 10-speed auto, but most half-ton trucks these days have like 10-speed autos, so I mean that's not really anything too special. But the powertrain is, that engine produces so much torque down low, and I personally have never towed with anything that had tons of torque down low, like an EV truck or a turbocharged truck like this, at least the modern versions of them, nor have I towed with like a diesel truck. So this was my first time doing that. 480 pound-feet of torque at 2,400 RPM. Holy smokes, you just crawl up everything. You just barely tip into that throttle just a little bit and it'll pull 7,000 pounds up and over mountain passes in West Virginia with ease. Maybe I see 3,000 RPM every now and then. In the 5.7, legendary engine, no one's crapping on the 5.7. To do that same towing experience, you would have to make that engine scream all the time just to get through those same mountain passes. That's just a naturally aspirated versus turbocharged thing. I am kind of addicted to that towing experience now. It's gonna be hard to go back to like an NA towing experience, in my opinion. Other features that make towing great on here are the rear air suspension. I was a little bit hesitant about opting for that, but I'm so glad I did. It's so nice to be able to, right from your dash, just lower the bed, raise the bed, or just keep it nice and level. You know, I put a 700-pound ATV in here, and it automatically levels it out. I don't gotta install any aftermarket airbags or nothing. It just takes care of it on its own. And then I can lower it to unload it, or if I'm going off-road and then I'm in a little ravine or something, worried about dragging my hitch or the corner of a bumper, I can put the air suspension in the high mode and I can have that clearance in the rear to get through there without scraping anything. Like the rear hitch receiver too is pretty dang good. I have no complaints. Chains are easy to hook up. Your 7 and your 4-pin connectors are really easy to hook up, and the hitch itself is great. Other towing features, I mean, that's about it. My last comment would be on the mirrors. The standard size mirrors are huge compared to some of the competitors. So you can also get the tow mirrors as an option, but these standard size mirrors can handle most trailers that are narrower than 8 feet wide. 8 feet wide, I would definitely get the tow mirrors. But yeah, towing has been phenomenal in this truck. So this is gonna really show how old I'm getting, but I really appreciate how quiet this truck is. You know, all around, I don't hear any crazy wind noise, no whistles, no rattles, no creaks, no cracks, no road noise other than really the standard amount, and the engine's really quiet. I have the upgraded JBL audio system, so it had the pumped in fake engine noise, but I used the Carista app through the OBD2 sensor to turn that off, and I like it nice and quiet. It's really pleasant, really quiet. You can have conversations in the cabin when you're towing at 70 miles an hour, and it's just a breeze. Or when you're climbing mountain passes, you can still talk to each other. And you can hear the whistles, the turbos whistling too. That's pretty cool. But yeah, the JBL fake engine noise that's pumped in, it actually sounded pretty good. It was just a bit too loud and drony for me, and knowing that it was fake, I would just rather hear the truth, even if that's quiet. Whatever. So most trucks have wireless Android Auto or Apple CarPlay that's available, and once you go wireless, it's gonna be tough to go back. I hop in the truck, I set my phone down on the console, and by the time I put it into park and I'm ready to take off, it's already connected, playing my music, navigating for me. I just put it on the wireless charger and it starts charging. It's just a really functional, easy to use system that hasn't failed on me at all. So I really like the wireless setup with the wireless charging as well. Also, the Tundra is the only half-ton truck that has a fully rolled down rear window. Some of the other ones have like a partial window that's open, which is cool. I just love being able to completely roll down the entire window or leave it up. I wish more trucks did that. All right, I gotta use my little cheat sheet here, but here's some honorable mention things, but a lot of these things are becoming much more popular on half-ton trucks. They're not necessarily unique to the Toyota Tundra, but one of the other things I really like are the headlights. They're fantastic, they're extremely bright. To me, they look pretty cool. The rear seat under storage is actually pretty great. It's obviously not available in the hybrid because that's where the battery lives, but in the non-hybrids, the rear seat under storage is good. The fuel tank comes in 2 different sizes. Most Tundras are going to come with the larger 32-gallon tank, and especially with the fuel economy that I'm getting. Speaking of fuel economy, if you stay out of it and you drive like a normal person, you're going to get exceptional fuel economy. I routinely get 18 to 20 commuting back and forth to work and a mix of driving. And on highway trips, if I'm just cruising, taking it nice and chill, I can easily get 22, 23. I've even gotten 24 on a highway trip. That was a couple 100 miles one time. Next would be, I'm a big fan of the design, but that is purely opinion based, there's honestly not a half-ton truck out there that I don't like the looks of. The Nissan Titan, which is I think no longer available, that's a little bland. The F-150 doesn't look bad, but to me there's just nothing really exciting about it. I like the Chevy and the GM products, and the Rams of course look terrific, but I think the Tundra actually looks pretty dang good. Last honorable mention will be the safety features. This might actually be unique to the Tundra. Some auto manufacturers, you have to buy packages that include safety features. With the Tundra, you just get them all. Or at least you get a lot of them. So more of those are becoming standard features for a lot of vehicles, like we're getting there, but I really enjoy the safety features. They're easy to use, they're very intuitive, and I like them. Okay, now I'm gonna nitpick some things that I don't like about the Tundra, and again, sorry, I'm gonna use my little cheat sheet here. So the first thing, keyless entry. It's only available on the front, so you just slip your hand in to unlock it, or you just then touch this little button on top. It's not a button, it's just a little sensor to unlock it. But on the rears, you don't have any of these options. Our Toyota RAV4 from 5 years ago, it's 2019, that has options to unlock and lock from the rear doors and the front doors. So I don't really understand why they didn't give it to you on all doors. Maybe it's available on higher trims, but this is a limited with essentially every box checked. Next little nitpicky thing is gonna be the rear parking sensors. Oh my gosh. So if you are going to be parking and you're gonna be reversing in, and let's say it's some tall grass, so your tailgate's gonna maybe just kiss some of that tall grass, these parking sensors will engage your e-brake very abruptly and very harshly. That's great if it's going to prevent you from running something or someone over, right? To prevent you from crashing into something in the rear. But like even when you turn that feature off, it's just beeps like crazy, and you can hit your little button to turn the beeping off, but it's a lot going on. It seems a little bit excessive. I don't know. Next little nitpicky thing is going to be the dash and what it displays. I think all limiteds on the 2024 and up come with the full digital dash. Mine came with the analog gauges on most of it and like a tiny little LCD screen. Mine's a 2023. So I can't see what gear I'm in. I actually bought an aftermarket Scan Gauge 3, which I have mounted up to tell me the gear I'm in. I also cannot check my transmission temperature. In the digital dash, you do have a transmission gauge, although maybe that's actually a blessing because it's a dummy gauge kinda. Like it doesn't have any numbers on it. And when people see it climbing up to hot, they're losing their minds. Just check out the forums and all the comments. They're just losing their minds because they think it's about to overheat. It's not. I run the Scan Gauge 3 and monitor my trans temps all the time. When towing through the mountains in the middle of summer, the highest I've ever seen was like 230 just for a few seconds. Came down the mountain pass and they all came back down. It routinely stays in the 190s, maybe in the low 200s when I'm towing. So it's something to think about. I wish there was more information on the dashboard. The next little tiny complaint is going to be remote start. So you have remote start on your key fob forever, but when you do remote start the vehicle, as soon as you come and unlock it to get in, it shuts the engine off. So a lot of other manufacturers have it to where you can remote start your vehicle, open up the door, and the engine stays on. I think Toyota does this just from like a safety thing, like anti-theft and all that, but I just wish they would change that. I think they are changing that on like the new Tacoma, so maybe we'll see some changes with Toyota's remote start system here in the future. Next little complaint is going to be the alignments that these vehicles were coming with. They were off. So there was, hop on the forums, this happened to me as well on my stock tires. The outside edges were wearing way faster than the inside. So what do they have? They have the camber off, or perhaps a little bit of toe in. Anywho, the outside edges were wearing way faster than the interior edges. And if you're putting expensive tires on your truck, and maybe you don't know that, or you're not checking them enough, you're gonna wear your tires out real fast to where they're unsafe. So I just wish they put the correct alignments on these things. So that's really all I got for nitpicks and things that I wish they would improve on. Yeah, I'm sure I could come up with a couple more, but none of those things would deter me from buying the Tundra again. Yep, so I am sad to see this one go. I am pretty miffed about the recall issue. Again, at the time of this recording, we don't really know exactly what's going on, or the engine debris from the manufacturing process seems a little insufficient to explain what's going on. So yeah, I'm pretty bummed that Toyota did that and is experiencing this, and that we have to experience this as customers. Don't forget though, you know, they have shareholders to please first, and then they think about us. That's not lost on me. But I have faith that they'll get it right. They'll make this a reliable platform, almost certainly. Might take them several years, who knows? But I think they'll get there, and I have no trouble buying another Tundra again. So stick around and maybe think about liking and subscribing. See what I ended up choosing next.